The next speaker we have is Jan Boon from Belgium, who is going to
Yes.
speak about the Precube cohort. Jan, are you ready to go?
Yep, thank you. Good
Okay.
morning, everyone. Let's share the screen.
Good, great. So you have 5 minutes, Jan.
Thanks, yeah. So there we go. My name is Jan Boon. I will pitch the Belgian Precube cohort. So yeah, let's go. In Belgium, each employer should have an internal service for prevention and protection at work. And their goal is to improve health and well-being of employees. And this includes all kinds of disciplines, as you can see, like occupational medicine, safety, hygiene, psychosocial aspects, ergonomics, environment, and so on. But in practice, most of these employers lack the time, the knowledge, or the resources to do all this. And therefore, they team up with an external service like IDW. And in Belgium, IDW is the largest external service for prevention and protection at work, with almost 900 experts, as you can see at the top right. So in Belgium, it's compulsory to combine all disciplines into one multidisciplinary service. And the good news is that this allows for a more holistic approach, since our focus is mainly risk assessment. And Precube is the part of our data warehouse where all these data come together. So it was built for epidemiological studies. And yeah, it's also the largest repository on Belgian employee exposure at all. So the oldest data, as you can see below, is from '93. But Precube is growing onwards from that date on. And since 2006, we switched to electronic health records, of course. And you can see some stats, but the outcome, of course, for employees is always to see how about well-being, fitness for work, health, and to avoid things like sick leave and sickness absence and injuries. So a bit more about Precube. The data there, it includes information from all kinds of medical examinations, questionnaires, workplace observations, and so on. And follow-up of these outcomes is mostly done by immediate feedback and active contact with participants during repeated measurements, periodic health checks, and so on. So quite specific for this cohort is, for example, the occupational information at the top right and the sickness absence information at the bottom left. So these are very important things for us as an external service for prevention. And it's also important to note, as you can see in orange, that a lot of information comes from self-reporting. And that some data is still under extraction, transformation, load into data warehouse, ETL, like samples and lab test results, like urine and blood samples that is still ongoing. And also new technologies at the bottom right, for example, are introduced. So to switch to continuous monitoring using wearables and things like this. So things are moving and things are growing. At then the output side, we have publications and automated reporting tools like dashboards or apps we built. And it's important to say, but this individual medical information is currently not shared with clinical physicians or general health practitioners. And that is also an issue we are working on. What we do provide at this time, these are aggregated reports to employers and their committees for health and safety. And mostly aggregated reports cover things like prevalence information, results of questionnaires, or audit score comparisons. And then below, you have some scientific publications, and these are mostly the result of data linkage with registries or social secretary information. And I saw Dr. Matranga of the first publication is also present in the meeting. So hello, how are you? We are hoping to do a lot of more studies with other cohorts too. So that was the good news, but also there is some bad news we are facing, and these are all these issues we are confronted with when switching to make better use of data. Yeah? Because in the end, we want to convince employers to invest in prevention. And our ultimate goal is trying to quantify the return on prevention, of course, at the level of the employer, but also at the level of the employee. So we hope, yeah, like dealing with bias and technological issues, bottom right, and missing values, and yeah, we hope to seek also your advice to share knowledge about this, because they say in the council of many wise men and women there is much wisdom, and yeah, I think I'm happy to be part of this larger initiative, so we can share knowledge about this, and there we are. So 5 minutes. Thanks for your attention. And now is the time for questions or to have a discussion.
Perfect, Jan. Thank you very much for your great presentation and great overview. Does anyone have a question for Jan and the Precube cohort? Please feel free just to raise your hand or just to turn on your microphone. If not, Jan, maybe you could talk about the collaborations with the cohort that you're working on now in terms of bringing the cohort into international collaborations.
Yeah, for us, it's a bit specific, of course. We're open for new collaborations, but the thing Marcel already pointed at this, but information about the unemployed we don't have. So when one stops working or goes to long-term illness, this is a problem. These are gaps in the information we have. And even if we collaborate with other external services, we don't cover this information. And that's a big problem for us. And Marcel also talked about this issue. So yeah, we are always looking for new partnerships, but also in an international context to have more statistical power or to drill down more in more detail. So that's where we are looking now for the data shield issue, the option there. But even then, yeah. So most recently, we worked with University of Palermo in Italy to have an internal study comparison for job change. So if people change, employees change job, but they still be in our data, yeah, then we can, of course, do a case control or something like this. But yeah, we need more, of course. So we're reaching out. Yeah.
Super, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Jan. That was great. Let's keep going to stay on time. And please feel free to contact any of the speakers through the chat.